Far from a genius, but you know, hey, I can do a few things.
Oh, goodness. Jennifer's got us. Don't say anything now. Did something and went away.
So if I put continue on there,
Yeah, you press continue. If you mean leave the meeting, you don't want to be recorded.
But you have to be, so you just say, I got it.
well, the last time I did it, I went out the other end of the world, so I thought I better not try that again.
It looks like the Olsons are muted.
I think it's on purpose, Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 3 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the Klickitat County Fire District 3 Commissioners meeting for August 12th, 2021 at 1500 or 3 p.m. This will be our regular board meeting, virtual meeting, Zoom meeting. We'll conduct the meeting and we'll have a time at the end if anybody has any comments. I'd like to go through attendance. This is Tom Montet, Commissioner.
First, Commissioner.
Bob Connor, Commissioner.
Debbie and Lloyd Olson, visitors.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. West Long Fire Chief.
Jennifer McLean, Administrative Assistant.
And we have, it looks like Melinda's on here too. I hope so anyway. There she is.
There she is.
Okay. Gentlemen, have you had an opportunity to look at the agenda?
Yes,
Any
Yes.
corrections, changes, comments? If not, I need a motion to approve it.
Mr. Commissioner, Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I may ask for permission for you gentlemen to consider adding one item to today's agenda, and that is just a discussion topic on the 2022 budget cycle, which typically in August when we officially start looking at the budget.
Okay, we'll add that underneath this financial report.
We want to approve the agenda, Tom?
Yes, but I'm asking that question versus
Oh,
that way
okay.
you want that to be. Then I need an approval of the agenda with the changes that were requested. Change that was requested.
I move to approve the agenda with the changes recommended.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So approved. Okay, we had minutes from our last meeting, or the regular meeting was in July 15th. We had to postpone it from July 8th due to technical difficulties. So we got our July 15 regular business meeting at 3 p.m. Did you have an opportunity to review the minutes, gentlemen? And if so, do we want to approve them? Make a motion to approve them.
I had a chance to review the minutes and I'll move to approve the minutes of, which meeting are we doing, Tom? I'm sorry.
July 15th, the regular business meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the July 15th regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. We also had on August 4th, a special meeting. Did you have the opportunity to review minutes for that meeting? And if any changes or correction, if not, I need a motion to approve it.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the August 4th special meeting as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so approved. Okay, moving on to the secretaries and the finance report. Jennifer?
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep, there it is.
Yes.
Okay. And you have all been able to review this. Just one moment, sorry, lost you. Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to point out that I don't know if you noticed or not, but the our general fund disbursement and ending balance is off by $5,150 compared to what the county says on the report, just because they, for some reason, missed including our federal tax deposit and our pension payment. The payments were made, both went through, but for some reason they just were not placed within the report. So that's really the only thing that I would think might bring up some questions at this point. Would you like me to read through each and every item, or would you like to just move down to approving the scripts? That's my question.
Probably wouldn't hurt to have you at least hit the totals, ending balances that in the distribution.
Okay, yep, that's great. I'm happy to do either. So, okay. So I'll just go through each line. So we have our general fund, our beginning balance, $524,755.52. We deposited $31,855.78. We actually dispersed $238,416.12, ending balance of $318,855.78. Our capital fund, we had a beginning balance of $15,777.25. Deposits of $166,543.23. And disbursements of $166,400.35. which left us with an ending balance of $15,920.13. Our bond fund, our beginning balance, $338,779.47. Deposits of $20,536.80. No disbursements, $359,316.27, our ending balance. Investments in general fund, we have $529,536 to begin with. We deposited $200,000 and there were no disbursements. So now we have an ending balance of $729,536. Our investment capital fund, so we have $2,430,000 beginning balance. Our deposits were $0. We had dispersed $166,400.35, which left us with an ending balance of $2,263,599.65. Any questions on that?
No,
Oh,
Okay. Our general expense fund, if you look at our operating budget, we have $489,403.55 planned. Year-to-date expenditures is $185,848.15, which is 38% of our budget so far, which is looking pretty good. Ending balance of $303,555.40. Let's see. So our total
Jennifer?
expenditure. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Can you move up the slide so we can see it?
Oh, for sure. Sorry about that. That better?
yes.
yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'm reading off my hard copy. Okay, so our operating budget, which I already told you, $489,403.55. We had that additional expenditure, which we just like to show, of $23,893.56. So our actual total expenditures are $209,741.71. So any questions there?
No,
Okay,
Oh,
so yeah, we're down to general scripts.
okay. The script, gentlemen, we need a motion to approve the payments here.
I'll make
The
a
general
motion that we,
expenditure scripts.
I'll make a motion that we approve the general expenditure scripts as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
okay. So now we're gonna just move down to our capital fund scripts. And I wanna note that you would have seen, yesterday I sent out an additional script that isn't on this report, but it was for $95,046.91. So,
Hey, Jen, can you scroll that down?
oh, yes, sorry.
Make sure everybody can see that.
Yep. So, yeah, there's one more script you would have seen yesterday in your emails that I have added in here on my hard copy.
Okay, gentlemen, we need a motion for the capital expenditure script approval.
I'll make a motion, we approve the capital fund script as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Jennifer.
Okay. So no real drastic changes in our bond fund because we will have a principal payment coming out in December. Let's see, 2021, our interest is sitting at $58,473.18, and our which is our total $58,473.18. So our invested general funds, like I told you earlier, we
Hey,
invested.
Jen, can you scroll that down for me?
Oh, yeah. So
I want to make sure Melinda gets an opportunity to see that too.
yes, for sure. There we go. So we invested an additional $200,000 in July, so that put us up to $729,536. And of course, our capital funds are beginning to be reduced because of the construction. So we have $2,263,599.65 because of the maturity of the July scripts. Or I'm sorry, the payment of the July scripts. So we had to mature $166,400.35 to cover those. And Mr. Commissioner Connor came out on the 10th of August to review our treasurer's report, our auditor's report, credit cards, petty cash, payroll, and general deposits. And that we have some correspondence under Canvas, letter that was sent to the newspaper and community councils regarding the hearing. And our current priority projects include public records requests. Those are still in progress. Board of Volunteer Firefighters buyback pension, and the annual report, which we made a goal to have finished up by the end of August. So, thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Jennifer?
I think I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Jennifer, on this regard to this?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Moving on then. Okay, this is where we want to bring in the budget. And Wes, you want to say something?
I
From the
simply want to,
2021?
yeah,
Go
it's
ahead.
2022's budget. So
There.
I simply want to
Yes.
take the opportunity to look at, as we move into the last quarter of 2021, and we're at, what was that number? I mean, look, 38% of this year's operating budget. We need to start planning. Yeah, we need to start planning for 2022 with key highlights. So what I would ask the board to start doing is take a look at our numbers and our future projects, and help me identify what priorities will be important to you specifically. So as we move into the bond project, the overall entire bond project, I'm forecasting that in 2022, the board potentially may have to, we'll see how close we get, but potentially have to look at maybe pulling out a little bit of reserve to accomplish a goal. And I only say that because I want to make sure that when we go into buying engines and so on, we make the best purchase decisions possible. So we're looking at multiple things. We're good on the budget. We're going to accomplish our goals, but and then we can talk about that particular piece later. However, moving into 2022, our line items, where we're at, and so on, I would just ask the board to take a look at and tell me what priorities are in next year's annual operating budget, so I can start penciling that in and see where we go from there. Is it facility stuff? Is it, I don't know, do we need to buy big balloons and we need to figure out how to budget for it? Whatever the case may be. So, thank you.
Okay. Next item is the chief and a training report.
And so in 5 years, this is my apologies in advance. I do not have a chief's report completed. I worked on it today, and I need to get into reports and get numbers. And I'm working on that. It will be late. My apologies. And the reason for that was out being on a fire assignment. I was spiked in the mountains, and I couldn't take the opportunity to get to internet service like I normally do. But the big ticket items for the chief's report in the month of July is obviously Fires have picked up the fire threat with the weather. We're now into our second heat wave of the summer, as we all know, and this one also includes smoke. So things are going okay. Calls have not spiked a ton, and our folks are good. In conjunction with the heat wave, as you guys all know, we are staring down the barrel again of some COVID issues that are going to be coming back up. So some mandates have come out for EMS response for related to personal protective equipment that Roz was kind enough to send out for me. L&I has some not mandates, but L&I has some guidance on PPE with training and so on. That I'm in a wait and see mode for one particular trigger, and that is, I have to be honest with the board. L&I says either we all people mask up for training and indoor training, that sort of thing. If we see, how's that worded? We all personnel mask up for indoor training, and this was before this week. So unless or if we don't keep a list of who's been vaccinated or not. I think that's how the wording went. Well, I respect the individual's right to choose what they want to do, and I don't believe that the fire district needs to be meddling in the personal business of our volunteers. So it's not for me to ask. So our individuals, I put the word out that our individuals have a right to continue to wear masks. When the governor's proclamation changed and allowed regular social distancing and then indoor mask requirements go away, I didn't mandate any changes so much. So I tell you all that just because I'm watching the next round, and I want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, yet I'm respecting people's privacy and their personal decision. So moving on from that, a few fires have been in the area. As you guys all know, we assisted over in Lyle twice. And then I've been assisting on the state level a lot via Zoom meetings, phone calls, and so on for the Fire Defense Committee. It's that time of year. The state is extremely pressed for resources. That's firefighters in all communities, not just ours. There's only so many people that respond to wildfires on a state and national level, and there's only so many managers, and the entire West Coast is stretched. So it makes sense. So that's been busy. Unfortunately, I do need to report an accident, a backing accident with water tender 31. We do have some damage, no injuries, and I just found out about that today. So I'm gonna work through that process. We have some damage. The truck's not out of service, but it does have some significant cosmetic damage that we'll probably have to deal with an insurance claim. So other than that, monitoring and working with Bob Merritt on the bond project, and I've checked in with everybody today. Due to the heat, our contractors are shutting down early, which is a good thing, you know. But good spirits, and I do know that Commissioner Burt's attended Wednesday's construction meeting, so they'll chime in on that. Further than that, does anybody have any questions of me right now?
I do.
Yep.
My question, Chief, have you been following Brian Snur's emails about the requirement for all EMS providers to be vaccinated by October? Does that include volunteers?
Yes, licensed, all licensed responders, yes. Some will leave. You see, there's nurses. There are nurses that are saying it's my right to my privacy. So it's becoming a national, my opinion, or observation, a national topic. And we all have our views on that. So yes, for our EMS personnel, there are going to be mandates. Any other questions?
Okay, any other questions for the chief? Okay, moving on, the next is ongoing business. And it's personnel, training captain, proposal for a part-time training officer. Wes?
So you folks have seen, has everybody seen the proposal, the specific proposal from Joseph Yela regarding training? Maximum 20 hours a week, maximum $40,000 a year, part-time status, and so on. Has everybody had the opportunity? You've seen that, right? I just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Okay,
Yes,
so,
I, as a commissioner, yes.
okay. So at this juncture, that project sits on two legs of a three-legged stool. What I mean by that is Commissioner Montag did make some communications with the city of White Salmon some time ago via email. In the absence of direct conversation, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, send an email and say,
Right.
hey, we're gonna go in our own direction relative to training. Commissioner Montag and I discussed it at length, and we agree that it's just not working, and we need to focus on Fire District 3. So the other leg of the stool is Vancouver Fire Captain Joe Yela, which is Fire District 3's volunteer. He has a passion. Gave me a proposal for providing and helping with training services on a part-time basis. And so at this point, we haven't 100% cleaned up contract language, but we did ask our attorney, Brian Schnurr, to give us an example, and he did so. And then there's one aspect of that example that Joe wasn't particularly comfortable with. And then another piece of that example where it doesn't provide language that shows that Joe would be, for example, the fire chief's backfill or able to cover in the absence of the fire chief as a captain or so on. So I need to work on those two pieces of the puzzle. But the overall piece is, let me pause just a moment and back up. And this is late learning news. I did receive an email from the White Salmon Fire Chief asking myself, Skamania County Fire District 3 Chief, when we would be available to discuss training officer. And it did have Exhibit B, for which, if you recall, was our request for change. But I haven't got closure on that, so that's okay. I'm inclined to move in our own direction. That is, I would ask the board to consider allowing me to work through the remaining pieces of a contract with Joe Yela on a trial basis for both parties for the purpose of training, and allow me to hire him as a part-time employee on a trial basis for the purposes of providing and helping with training and helping me get our training program back up to speed. That emphasis would be on Fire District 3. It will not shut the door for White Salmon, but we are no longer going to financially, what's the right word? Somebody help me. Financially allow the city to shirt tail on Fire District 3's funding for that purpose. And I say that because, just a reminder, the interlocal agreement calls for Klickitat Fire District 3 to pay 50% of the total salary and wage for Captain Gilmer when he was here. Does that make sense? Furthermore,
Are we gonna terminate the interlocal agreement?
that is correct.
Okay,
Okay, and I have the letter. I want to share it with the commissioner of your choice before I send the final. Advice from our attorney says really because nobody in 2021 has funded that position. It's null and void, but we need to clean it up officially. So I'll timestamp that when Tony Gilmer retired, which was, his official ending date was September 30th, 2020. So technically, we're obligated to provide a training officer if we hire somebody for the next 30 days. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Makes
so,
sense, but
but
Okay.
so what your proposal is to clean it up and get that out of the way so we don't have to deal with that. Is that correct?
That is correct. So my request to the board is to consider and honestly, timing. I believe we have a contract that works, that passes a straight face test. It does pass the test because there was a question about how many hours in a 5-month period and so on. But we do have that example in place. We just need 2 more small adjustments. In order to do that, I need to have concurrence from Joe Yela. And then timing would not allow it. He's back on duty today, so unable to contact him. As you know, he works 24-hour shifts. So that said, my request to you gentlemen today is to allow Roz and or I, or myself actually, to coordinate the last and final particulars of a contract with Joe Yela and allow me to hire him for the purposes of training on a trial basis. No, in that contract, there's no guarantee of time. There's a termination clause, and so it's a trial basis. But it's the mechanism for which we could pay Joe to do that. So that would be my request. And the last.
Are we squared away with Department of Labor, all that stuff as far as pay?
Yes. Yeah, the way it's organized.
Way back, you said you had some difficulty there. Okay. Do you want a motion or do you want to simply all of us nod our head and say, go ahead and do it? What do you
Okay,
want?
so two things. Number one, before you make a decision, I want to let you know that I did reach out to the majority of our members individually, and they support our plan, our volunteers. Okay. I had a captain's meeting with Captain Hilton and Riggleman. We talked about this at length. We also talked about a rank change for one other individual that I need to work through, and so on. So to answer your question, Commissioner, because it's the purposes of hiring any paid staff, you would need to make a motion.
Okay. So then we need a motion for you to move forward with the proposed part-time training officer, clearing up the paperwork, whatever, but moving forward with that and bringing that to fruition. Yes, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, I guess I
Okay,
have,
gentlemen, I need a motion. Go ahead.
Tom, I have a question, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
What exactly is the discussion with the other 2 captains and I'm not sure I totally understand all that, and I'd like to have it clearly spelled out for me, I guess, Wes. I think I understand, but I'm not sure I see how they fit into the thing here, other than you're bringing in somebody to act as one of them, I guess. Is that correct?
No, that's an operational. My purpose in mentioning that to you guys is that I've reached out to our volunteer captains, our organization, and they support hiring Joe
Okay.
for training.
I see that as a positive.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to say.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mean to muddy the water. I'm just trying to.
Oh yeah, I understand.
Understand. So
Mhm.
anyway, go ahead, Tom.
So I need a motion, gentlemen, for Wes to be able to move forward with proposed part-time training officer to clear it up and sign it up and put it, and bring it to active action for us.
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion that to allow Chief Long to move forward with the hiring of Joe, whose last name I've forgotten, I'm sorry. And go ahead and ink the paper.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, move forward then. Okay, is there anything else you need with that, Wes?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on then into policies. We had two policies that have been worked on and we put forward for this meeting. The first one is the public records revision. My understanding after reading through this policy is that it's primarily taking from our old format of our ones that we had, putting it into the new Lexpol format, basically covering the same subject, or maybe a few minor changes or additions there. But basically, that's what it is. Any comments, gentlemen?
Question, Tom. I'd like to ask the chief if he could clarify. I did read both the old and the new one, and I couldn't see that there was a lot of change in there. And so I put it all down a little puzzled. I thought there would be some verbiage changes, and I didn't really see anything highlighted or spelled out.
Now, Raj did the bulk of the work on that. I took a look and scanned as well, and the primary purpose was to get it into Lexipol. So I did not anticipate any specific changes. The other thing that I know Roz did was she did a query, and Jen, you can help me with this if you know, but Roz did a query on a few other agencies to find out what they had for public records request policies. And they're all pretty much straightforward. And so it was just a transfer to get it into Lexipol. But as a policy, you need, the board approves that, especially that one. If there's a change you would like to see for us to research, please let me know or let Roz know so we can make sure that it gets addressed before you have to address it twice.
Okay, well, I understand where you're going with this one, and I'm on board with what you've done so far. I guess where I'm hung up is I've been made aware that there are possibly some things we could do to tighten our policy up that might be worthwhile investigating and adding as necessary. My understanding is they've been vetted by Attorney Snur, who is our representative. So I'm wondering if it would make sense to kind of roll that whole thing together. So that's my question to the rest of the board and to you, Chief.
Roll which together?
The tightening up of the entire public records policy and how we go about dealing with that.
Okay.
So I don't mean to muddy the water. I'm aware that there are some things that we might be able to change to make our policy a little bit more effective for us. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't try to roll all that together. That's my question.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say, and I agree, ultimately, if you would like to send it back to us for refinement, we can do that and send it back to you. Is that what you're requiring?
I guess my question is, I don't have any problem approving what you've submitted here in the form of this resolution. But I don't want to drop the ball on going beyond that aspect of it.
Okay. I understand.
Okay. Does the rest of, do my fellow members of the board, am I making sense to them, I wonder?
Well, I read it all, and I think it's pretty good and effective. But if there are things that we could improve for ourselves and for our customers, it could be tightened up.
Okay, but my personal tactic as one person on the board would be to go ahead and approve this for the chief and the staff and the district as it is currently, but not to let it lay, but to continue down the path of improving our policy in that regard. And not let it just fall by the wayside.
So am I hearing you say that you want to let this table this till the next meeting? Or do you
Well-
want to pass this now and then we move forward later with a different, or any additions you want to make?
I will defer to the chief on that, Tom. If the chief needs to have this done now and get it over with, then by all means, I'm on board to do that. If it's something that we could table for the next meeting and perhaps answer the question that I'm proposing, I'm all for that too. So again, I defer to Chief Long.
Well, I don't want to have to ask the board to go through a policy if it's, if it needs refined or cleaned up. So I would recommend that the board take a look. And perhaps maybe Commissioner Burtz, I could meet with you and we can find out exactly what you had in mind as part of that process.
Sure, that's
Okay.
fine that's great with me if the rest of the board has no problem with that.
I'm good.
Uh,
Sounds good. So what I'm hearing is we table this, Chuck and Wes will talk. Next meeting, hopefully we'll be in a position where we can have a motion to approve it, move it forward. That
Sounds good.
makes sense?
I'm good with that, Tom.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the policies was the volunteer stipend. We had, and this was forwarded to each of you, the new resolution for 2021-10. Did everybody have an opportunity to look at that?
I did indeed.
I did.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to read this. I will read through it, and we need a motion at the end to approve this. Okay, resolution 2021-10, a resolution adjusting the volunteer stipend program. Whereas Klickitat County Fire District 3 provides emergency service to the community using a volunteer force of personnel. And whereas the fire district recognizes volunteers may incur out-of-pocket expenses when providing service to the fire district, respond to the station as or calls or training events, and whereas the fire district has historically reimbursed their volunteer force with a stipend for the purpose of helping it to defer some expenses incurred by volunteers when providing services to the fire district. And whereas the board approved resolution 2018-8 to adjust the stipend program to reflect responsibilities of officers to provide incentive for individuals to seek training and provide incentive for volunteer firefighters to help occasionally staff our station during special or specific times. And whereas the fire district recognizes that the rules of providing compensation to volunteers without turning the volunteers into employees for minimum wage and overtime purposes of, and whereas the fire district seeks to set in record a clear resolution to continue the compensation volunteers within the legal parameters that will stand for the future and allow updates to the compensation amounts be made. Now, therefore, it is resolved by the Board of Commissioners, Klickitat County Fire District 3 to rescind Resolution 2018-8 and establish Resolution 2021-10 in place of, for the purpose of volunteer stipend reimbursement. It goes on to define, gives a definition of stipend. Points are awarded for each drill attended, each alarm responded to, each meeting attended, and for performance of any activity that the fire department may require, regardless of the length of time to perform the activity. A maximum limit per point shall be established. The Board of Fire Commissioner approves the following. The fire district will reimburse volunteer members of Klickitat County Fire District 3 on a point system. Points are awarded per event. Each point is worth a nominal dollar amount based on an established schedule in line with the annual operating budget. The amount is effective in all events beginning January 1, 2021. The amount shall be reviewed annually at the time of budget planning. Adjustments to the point value may be changed by policy, and said policy shall reference this resolution. The stipend will be paid annually to the volunteers based on events from January 1 through December 31. Therefore, payments will be made in January of the following year. Payroll staff shall have authority to pay out stipends before the end of the calendar fiscal year if the volunteer ends service before December 31. The fire district may also reimburse volunteers for out-of-pocket expenses such as items of clothing that the fire department requires the firefighter to provide. The fire district recognizes volunteer captains have additional training and responsibility to manage the volunteers on and off the fire ground. Therefore, the district shall provide volunteer captains with an automatic stipend of $100 per month, regardless of actual hours spent organizing and managing volunteers on and off the fire ground, to be distributed on a quarterly basis. The captains are also awarded points for calls and events, so long as the total earned by an individual volunteer shall not exceed $12,000 per year. Per authority to fire chief to adjust the program so long as the overall cost of labor does not exceed the pre-planned budget amount used for the payment of stipends to volunteer firefighters. Then it's got a 2021 point value may be subject to change depending on the annual budget provision. If you see on the screen there, there's a chart that talks about firefighter 1 and 2, structural and wildland, and the point value is $10. EMTs, same situation, $10. Authorized volunteer support, $10. Captain, alarm drill training, $10. Captain monthly administrative volunteer is $100 per month. It's in that chart there. So adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Klickitat County Fire District 3 on today, August 12, 2021, the following fire commissioners be present and voting. Okay, gentlemen, I need if you have any comments first. If you have no comments, I need a motion to approve this change to resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-10, resolution adjusting the volunteer stipend program as just recited by our board chairman, Tom.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I
I so move. So the next item on our agenda is the bond. So project manager Merritt, where are you? There you are. You're muted, so
Jen, can you let me share screen?
It's not allowing you now, huh? Let's see.
It's not on there.
Can you now?
Yeah, just a second here.
Okay.
There we go. Everybody see that?
got it.
Okay, arrow moving.
Looking good.
All right, there we go. So we have 3 items on here. We're going to talk about Station 31, 32 update. As Chief had indicated, we've been meeting every Wednesday morning and had trying to fill in the ruts in the road before we get there and other kinds of challenges and delays. So I'm just going to give you a progress report for those that haven't been down there, but this is as of yesterday and some today. So we're going to talk about Station 3, just the actual construction update first. So the first thing is that we had some incursion issues apparently, and so we resurveyed our east and west, some on the west side as well, and reinstalled some stakes that had either weathered or whatever, and to make sure that we are it's well marked where the district's property is, and we're not incurring on somebody else's property. And so therefore we also added additional fence to prevent any construction activities or what have you to cross over into anyone else's property as well. So you can see that we've adequately provide protection. We did remove the material, as you can see in the right-hand picture, some material that had gotten into our neighboring property, which we had apologized for and moved that out. Now we've got safeguards in there so that doesn't happen again. Much of the demolition inside of the building is done. We've got a new doorway. We've removed and moved power panels. All of the ground material that was inadequate and not fit has been removed. A large amount has been removed, and we're going to talk about that a little later in terms of change orders. So the apparatus bays are cleared out. They're pretty much ready to go. The wall either was demoed today or be demoed tomorrow, the last final wall. Now that we have some structural plans of how to support that, we finally got that back. That's been a challenge, getting structural things back from the structural engineers. So pretty much this is an old photo because that apparatus bay now is ready for rebar and what have you. And we're also starting to see a lot of our materials that have been on hold or delayed to come in. So rebar, trench drains, things like that that have slowed us up, either have arrived or will be arriving shortly for us to get going and going on a pour. This is the admin building after it was cleared out. You can see right over in here, this is where we cut the floor out for the bathroom. This is yesterday. So this would be the chief's office. This is the supply and copy room here. This is the watch office or alarm office in here. The bathrooms are back in here. So this is the watch office here. You can see we're all framed in. Power has been run already to all of these. We went through that and found some discrepancies. Yesterday after the meeting, we went around and found that there were power boxes and data boxes that needed to be added and moved or whatever the case may be. This would be an earlier shot of which used to be the closets. This is now the floor cut out for the bathrooms. The bathrooms are now framed in. The floors were tore out, and the floors, drains, plumbing are all in. All of the plumbing is all put in as well. All the preliminary plumbing stuff is all in. The floor has been repoured. So that part of the area is just moving along quite quickly. This is what would be the end of the west hallway, to be the decon area. All of the plumbing is in, the floor is in, the drain's in. So we're getting ready to frame in this piece. That door goes away. A new door in the apparatus bay is added to get into the east hallway. So again, a lot of this interior pouring has been done. The new water line is in, the new water meter is in. So that work is done. Most all of the site work in the back, this would be your septic tank and the lines to it, the line coming out of the building that picks up the bathrooms and all that other, all of that is in here, should be buried in the next day or two. And then we will work diligently continuing to water that and form a good scab on that so that the dust reduction is significant and remains significant for the neighborhood. The excavator will be back in doing a few more ditches for propane. and other conduit and what have you. One of the things that we did add was some conduit to go to the septic tank. We did increase the size of the septic tank, but also we're going to run some conduit out there to be able to put an alarm in there so that in the event that we have so it doesn't overflow, so to speak. There is the venerable rain garden still in its unfilled condition. One of the challenges we've had, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is trying to get the composite soil approvals. Apparently Klein, that's one of our challenges, is that Klein lost our samples. So we started all over again. It's important to note that not only the rain garden, but all of the west side retention ditches along the west side have a special soil. So in this case, we removed down to 6 feet, and we will take it back to about 2 feet, and same with the other side. That it's a special kind of a soil that's designed and mixed so that not only does it treat the water, but it also has a certain drainage rate. According to the Washington State Department of Ecology, Eastern Washington Stormwater Plan, there's a specific mix of composite soils and loam and sand that's designed to cause the drainage and so on and so forth. So that's why you see these large excavations. Now it gets filled in with all this material. That's on a 3-week delay simply because we haven't got our tests back yet, but that's moving. This should be filled very shortly, and we'll get back to what the rain garden will actually look like. This is station 32. As you can see, this is the footings for the apparatus bay. Starting next week, they'll put that rebar in and planning a pour, the concrete pour on next Friday. So that is moving along as well. Doors have been removed. This is the compressed pad for the water tank that's going to be moved. And Chief is just finishing up the design for the plumbing for that to be installed. That tank's sitting out, ready to be put in as well. So, but quite a bit of progress in all of those different areas. So our challenges and our delays mostly have been at kind of the testing. We've been two issues. First of all is concrete. We did a pour about 3 weeks ago on a Friday morning at 5 in the morning. When everybody got all set up and started to pour, the testing inspector was there, and the concrete actually failed the slump test, the amount of consistency and water and all that other kind of stuff. So all of the concrete that had been poured had to be removed. That was a difficult day, that particular day. However, it shows the integrity of our contractor and the fact that he, refused to just turn his back on that. And we had all of that removed. The contractor or the concrete folks ate the bullet on that one, and then subsequently decided that all 10 of the people at the concrete place wanted to get on their Harleys and drive to wherever that place is. So they shut the plant down. Our primary concrete, Sturgis, thank you. So they're gone. The plant's down. So we've done a submittal to use another concrete plant and try to keep on balance with that. Getting concrete in a timely manner is extremely difficult in the Columbia Gorge, probably everywhere. The other challenges and delays have been in materials, challenges and delays in getting the drawings and approvals from the engineers back has been, particularly on the structural side, has been difficult. But they're coming back slowly but surely. And Jeff has been very diligently about writing those guys to get us on there. It is a very busy time. And believe it or not, we're a very small project. And so I think sometimes it gets shoved off to the side, but we're working through those things to stay on track. And I'll talk about that a little bit with the change orders. The other delay has been in at the Klein, at the testing. They're so overwhelmed in their testing of the soils, testing of the rock, testing of the concrete. A lot of those things are way behind. And so we can't move forward until those have been done. They're slowly coming back so that we can move forward. Again, it hasn't impacted us to the point where we think we're not going to be on schedule. However, I will say that it's frustrating to be on this end of it, in particular for Dana, who could be much farther along than we are, but just simply because of the COVID delays and material delays and other things like that. We did get at the last minute, we did get a bid. So as you know, that the 2 glulam beams in the training room were determined to be substandard, undersized, probably were okay at the time that they were built in 1950, whatever. But now, obviously, because they deflected and because of the snow load and what have you, it was determined that they're undersized for the span they have. So we took a look at 2 different alternatives to resolve that. One of them was to put posts in, which was simple but kind of obtrusive. The other was to have a suspension system designed for it. We waited and waited and waited and waited, and finally got a proposal back from the people that do that. It would be a suspension system with cables and braces and what have you to equal out the load or something like that. I'm not an engineer. Either way, that project had a price tag of $35,000 extra on it for that to occur. To put the posts in, to cut and cut out concrete and pour footings and put in 2 posts would be around $10,000, which is already in the budget for the project. So ultimately, the decision was made $0 for posts or $35,000 for some sort of a suspension system. Pretty obvious which we took. So there'll be a couple of obtrusive posts in that room to be done. That room will shortly be stripped back and cut and concrete and posts put in, and we'll take care of that particular issue. That's the only thing that's in the baseline contract for the training room other than the lighting. So that'll happen fairly soon and get done. And again, my suggestion for those that say they can't see the screen because of the post would be to move your chair. Lots cheaper than $35,000. Last but not least is change orders. We obviously have change orders. We're at about 2.13% of our budget in change orders, and I'm going to give those to you in pretty good detail and show you where those all occur. Most of these have occurred just in the last 2 weeks. And again, a lot of this, as you understand, we're still kind of in the discovery phase as we start tearing out walls and ceilings and stuff, and we find, and we find stuff, we have to address it. We removed the flooring of the old schoolroom. That's the apparatus bay. We found substandard material underneath there, all had to be removed and has to be now replaced with 100 tons of gravel to get compaction to pour the new ones. And so this is your list of this is COR is change order request. So the first was we had when putting a wall in between the watch office and the apparatus bay, we didn't realize that was a CMU concrete block wall. That it cost us additional dollars. Can everybody see the dollar amounts there? There we go. Maybe that helps. The second one was a revised HVAC plan at Station 32, which got rid of the electric furnace, which we needed for to gain amp capacity, power capacity. Replaced it with a propane one. Shoring and added structural framing in the apparatus bay roof. With that, when we remove that center wall, there's some additional structural work that needs to be done. The apparatus bay subgrade was the biggest hit, 100 tons of 3/4 minus compacted material that has to go back in. We did get one good credit, and that was we decided that the concrete slabs for the propane was extraneous, and so we just decided we'd be like everybody else and put them on compressed or compacted gravel with some bollards, some tip over bollards that gave us a one. And then we added some conduit sweeps so that the propane lines would go underground into the building. Electrical revisions, we had discovered that there was a panel, not discovered, but there was a panel in what is now the chief's office that had to be removed. That was an additional $5,600, not only to remove it, but then to relocate it in the IT room. Additional septic pumping, we had to repump again, Station 31, and the alarm system for the system. And that's a change order that we haven't approved yet because I think we're just going to run the conduit and leave it at that. All total, you're at about $30,678 minus change order 8. So roughly about 2% of your overall budget. So what those look like, so let me walk through those. So all of this material had to be removed. It was substandard and then has to be replaced. The center wall here, once it was knocked out, there was a structural member that had to be reinforced in here. The panel H was right inside the admin office, right in here. It gets moved to the IT room, needed to be room because these wing walls were knocked out anyway. It was in the wing wall. And also the panel that was here had to be moved as well. So that was that one. Some structural things in this supply room as we remove this wall right here. Anyway, then the HVAC up at the other station is was to, again, to gain power and also to get us onto the propane side of things. So ultimately, I mean, I think we've got the majority of things that were surprises we've hit. So this is our construction change order thing that we signed for each one of those. I didn't put all of those in here because I'm gonna have to do this on several forms, but this is what the form looks like. And ultimately what you would want to look at is this, and that is how many days of delay? So far, none, even though we've had setbacks and blah, blah, blah. So far, it's not cost us in days. Whoopsie. There we go, hit the wrong button. But down here on this one here, the original sum of our contract was $1,672,972.59 for both stations. The amount of the previous change orders, this is the amount of your change orders here that I just said, $30,687. So your final contract, original contract sum goes from 1.672 to 1,703,659. That's taking into account all of the things that I just shared with you. The owner's furnished thing, Chief Long and I continue to work on the details of this, which includes radio equipment, radio towers, other kinds of things that are on our list. We're moving along very quickly on obtaining those and kind of getting those things lined out, getting multiple bids and so on and so forth. So no delays there other than just jumping in between fires and other things like that. So we're on track. We're moving. Nobody's unhappy yet. We haven't fired anybody yet, as far as the contractors are concerned. So that's my report. Any questions?
Questions for the project manager, gentlemen? If not, we'll move on. Thanks, Bob.
You bet.
The next item on here is the White Salmon City Council Public Safety and a Joint Use Facility. Chuck, do you have a comment?
I have nothing to report this month.
Okay, on the joint use facility, as Wes mentioned earlier, I tried to contact in July the mayor, phoned her a couple times, didn't get a response. And then I finally sent an email. In that email, I outlined that we are terminating the interlocal agreement training officer or training agreement that we had with White Salmon and Skamania. Also in there suggested that apparently it's not the right time for the joint use facility, that we would be moving on with our own plans. Now, that was done, as Wes mentioned, with the discussions with him. We had a long discussion on that. And so he is tasked with going back to Chief Hunsaker and Skamania and explaining what the situation will be with the training. And that's the wild card here. Anything else you'd like to mention, Wes, about that?
No, not at this time, actually.
So we'll wait and see if the mayor does respond and comes to us, but as of today, nothing has been transpired from her. And in the beginning of July, when I said this, I gave her a time that it'd be nice if we could wrap that up by the end of July, and I heard nothing all that time. So we're moving on with that piece of the project. Okay, any comments, suggestions, questions? If not, I'll move on. The next item on our agenda is out of district billing, and I believe that goes back to one of the 2017 fire. Any update on that, Wes, that you know of?
Jennifer's on all over that, so go ahead.
Yeah, I contacted, so we sent it down to a collection agency in Vancouver, Washington. And so far they've been really great to work with. I reached out to Susan on Tuesday, I believe it was, to see how that was looking. And so far they have not received any correspondence or any kind of communication with them as of yet. So they're still working on it. They just continually are reaching out. They did confirm, a few things, but it's kind of a waiting game at this point. They said that their last resort is suing, and I said that's exactly, I would think that would be the extreme to go that route. So I would hope. So that's
okay. Questions, comments for Jennifer, gentlemen?
No,
Nothing from
If
me.
not, let's move on to next item is the DNR, do some workstation facilities. And Wes, you're gonna have to answer that one.
So at this point, we haven't received official notice. However, our efforts to do the right thing with the taxpayers in the Fire District 3 area by offering to help DNR through their facilities problems appear to have potentially failed once again. And whereas the DNR, while I don't take issue with the wildfire division personnel and managers, informal information states that their engineers took a look at their needs. And if you recall, we gave them access to our engineer for a short time so they could research what it would take to build a functional joint use facility and save everybody taxpayer money. Well, said engineers, while I don't have the data specifically or what they were exactly envisioning, came up with a number of $1.5 million to install a couple offices in our gymnasium. So if my body language gives you my feelings on the topic of lunacy and absolute irresponsibility on the behalf of somebody in the DNR in Olympia, Washington, I'm angry about it. However, we don't tell them what to do. I was notified by one wildfire division manager when I learned of that, which would have been last Friday, I think, or the Friday before. I cordially let him know that there is no way in God's green acres that I'm going to let DNR potentially move out of Hewsum and move those fire engines away from our community, the west end of Klickitat County, to Dowsport, in an old school, which by the way, I would question the cost of remodeling an old school that, well, gee whiz, I don't know, it's probably same era and has the same asbestos as we've just taken care of. Anyway, so I don't have any of that is as verified. Absolutely, this is what they're going to do, but I'm more than happy to make a wave and a stink because the land that DNR currently occupies in Hewsum would then by state law be opened up to the highest bidder. Or they'll do a backroom deal with the Yakima Nation. Nothing against the Yakima Nation folks at all. However, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't see that that is good land value for the citizens of Hewsum for that particular parcel to be converted into, well, I'll leave it there. You can make your own determination. So that said, DNR has in all essence, once again, discontinued to give myself and Bob Merritt any respect and courtesy by saying, well, thanks, but we're not interested. I'm pondering a letter to the lands commissioner in that aspect alone, but we can move on our merry way. And if the citizens of this community would come together on a topic, perhaps they could keep the DNR and they keep the DNR wildfire forces in the community where they belong, as opposed to Dallasport, which is a different type of fuel. We all get that. And I disagree with the idea. So that's something that perhaps somebody could go on a, I don't know, a rampage or a mission to find out there, somebody out there. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay,
Comment.
moving on then, unless there's comments.
Comment. Tom,
Okay,
I just,
go for it.
I don't know what we could do as a board, except to support Chief Long's comments wholeheartedly. I certainly hope we would do that. It does seem like if there was something the community could get behind, this ought to be it in terms of trying to maintain a really forceful wildland firefighting group here in the Hewsum corridor, Trout Lake area. They get lots of excitement over here. Not excitement. They get lots of calls over here, and I took the fuel difference between here and where they're proposing apparently to go is night and day, and the life safety factor is quite a bit different here. I would say much more intense here than it is in that area of the county. So I don't know. It seems like whatever we can do as a board to support Chief Long, maybe put our names on any letter he might write or something of that nature. I really think that it's a good use of our time to do that. So I'm just throwing out my thoughts here and my own disappointment that the state's inability to see what to me is obviously a good approach that serves the communities and the county very well by staying here. End of my tirade.
So I support Chuck's comments and I support the chief. And if there is something we can do, we need to have the chief bring that up to us and we will move forward with him in executing a plan. So I think that's where we are. Bob, any comments?
Well, I totally support Commissioner Burt's and his comments. I support Chief Long's comments. Personally, I don't get it. Why they would want to move over there. Maybe that's all we can do. Write a letter with the commissioners signing it and send it over there, but it doesn't sound like the chief's done a lot of efforts and it's just fallen on deaf ears. So I'm disappointed too.
Maybe Bob, the community councils might be an avenue of support information to the state or whoever is appropriate to send it to say, hey, you know, this is nuts.
Well, I think that's something we could maybe do is, I'm not sure the community councils have any awareness of this issue.
Yeah, my guess is they probably aren't. We're probably on the inside track here just because of the situation, but geez, well, wouldn't hurt to share the information with our community councils and maybe our county commissioners also.
Good point. I think that ought to be done. And you actually have people on your board here that are part of the Snowden Council, so you've made them aware just by this talking today. And maybe we didn't do it officially, but unofficially, they have been at least alerted to some of the facts. So, okay. Next item on here is the BVFF, the volunteer firefighters, and it says pension buyback, and it's waiting for state finalization. So I would assume by the next meeting, hopefully we got something, we can move forward on that. Next item is new business. I see no new business listed unless Jennifer or Wes or somebody has something that I don't have on my sheet. Okay. Moving on, then we have public discussion. If you have any comments, questions, you have 5 minutes to talk.
Quiet out there.
Okay. I hearing none, I'm going to move on to good of the order. Anything for good of the order? If not, then I'm moving on to the next meeting. Our next regular meeting will be September 9th at 1500 or 3 p.m. So, and if we need a special meeting in the meantime, we will have to work that out as needed. Otherwise, gentlemen, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting. Oh, I'll second Bob's motion. How's that?
Sorry, Chuck.
Good,
It's
great.
okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We adjourn this meeting at 16:17. Thank
You know,
you very much, everybody.
You notice that when it's time to make the motion to adjourn, Bob and I always walk on each other.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but take care, everyone.
Okay.
Bye,
Take care. Be safe. Hydrate. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Lois. Hi, Lois.
Hi, you all. Bye.
Oh, the dog joined in too, and Lois. Well, how did your missions go today, Lois?